I don't want to interfere with the story that's going on and assume that I know what's best for humanity. I really don't. However, the question is, if Trump is going to, is on a path to be president of the United States, and that's part of the destructive energy that's going to be so destructive. What if we visualize something different? Plain and simple, dear. That all you have to do is ask God for his thoughts on this matter. So why don't we ask God? The why is here. Okay, God. God says, well, the bottom line, dear, is that they have asked for their rapture and climate change is coming for them, right? Right? And so if Donald Trump gets to be president, he's going to inherit all that mess. And he isn't going to know what to do, of course, and his followers won't know what to do because they are climate change deniers. They'll just keep spewing more toxic fumes into the air, which will hasten the rising seas and the destruction of the continent. Right? Right? And so they will get their rapture because they are the ones that are creating it. Right? Yes, because I was saying earlier that if it was up to others, the scientists, Democrats, etc., more logical people, the ones that at least struck on 2 feet, 2 hands, they would implement things that would help combat climate change, and they would trust on figuring it out because they don't trust on the rapture. They trust on science to try to make it feasible. They generally are of goodwill and want all of humanity to survive. They're not caught up in the consciously in the good evil paradigm, although they do get caught up in it because they don't understand totally the duality and the Trinity, right? So that would actually slow it down, whereas Trump would speed it up. I don't know if that's true. If he would, they would slow it down, but they would be more what people normally call compassionate. Although in this case, the compassion might be to let them get their rapture and let the rest of the people get about the business of cleaning up the mess. They burn down their house and they have to leave, and everybody else is glad to be rid of them, I guess you might say. So don't weep over them getting what they want. But I don't know. I'm just asking you, is, it is what it is, right? It is what it is, dear. It is what it is. Because there is no hope for those who have no hope of ever figuring out how to have a relationship with me. There's just no hope for them. And so they have no rope. And so they can't even understand what you're asking me. They can't even understand it because they trust on their own capacity to determine who's doing what to whom. And they'll say, well, God's doing this to me if they get drowned in the rising sea. And they'll say to themselves, well, why is he doing this to me? I'm one of the good ones. Why is he causing my house to sink into the sand, the shifting sand? And then they'll get to come to heaven and they'll say, why did you do that to me today, God? I was one of the good ones. And I will say, well, you got your rapture, honey. I wrapped you up and brought you to heaven. Aren't you happy that you got to come to heaven and be with me? And they will say, well, it's not fair. How come I had to get wrapped up and brought to you and all those other people didn't? They didn't. They're the ones that were supposed to be so miserable, you see, after the rest of us got taken up to heaven. But they're not miserable. They're having a jamboree on the beach. All the sneetches on the beaches are happy, you see, because we're out of the way. And so we can't play the game of having more stars than you, being better than you. And so they will come to see that they don't control me. They don't control me. However, they can request a bequest, and the bequest they can request is that the ones who don't get taken up in the rapture will be left behind. And that works for you, doesn't it, Stephanie? It does. And so I can give them what they want, and I can give you what you want, which is to live in peace and harmony in the world you see and to feel safe because there's not 8 billion people throwing their trash in the sea, right? Right. I mean, it seems to me that 8 billion people on the face of the earth is a big problem. Does it seem like that to you, God? Yes, it does. Because 8 billion people on the face of the earth are such a problem for you and others like you because you trust that we have to work together to figure it out. We have to work together to figure it out. But so many of those 8 billion people are unwilling to say, hey, I'll be in the rapture today. I'll be taken up to heaven, and the rest of you stupid people can be left behind. That I have a problem to understand why so many of them won't say, well, we all want to go to heaven today. We all want to go to heaven today. So I'll just wipe them all out and start over again, eventually, with some other experience with a group that will be my children, you see, and they can sit and cool their heels on a different planet where they will seal their fate because eventually they'll rate coming back to Earth in another attempt at creating an intelligent species, you see, that will work with me. So why not just wipe them all out? Start over again, I asked myself. So the challenge is that some people like you see through the illusion, you see, and you say, well, God, that's okay if you wipe all of us out and we have to start over again as lizards or whatever on some other planet. However, it's a shame because I love you and I love this beautiful world. And I'm just sad that so many people don't love you the way I do and don't love this beautiful world the way I do. And then I have to say to myself, well, that's a bit of a problem because I already have some people on Earth out of those 8 billion who already are ready to live in peace and harmony. So, how do I keep them and dispose of the rest? So I have to figure it out, you see. I have to figure out this problem. How do I work with the ones who are ready to evolve into a cooperative community and dispose of the ones who don't care about me and don't care about their present under the tree. And all they want is to tell me what to do. And I didn't create them so they could be my master, you see, and I could be their servant. So that's why I have to start over, because there's a flaw somewhere in the plan that caused them to lose their good vibrancy on life, you see. So what do I do? What do I do? And so I have to work it out, you see. So you can be left behind and you and I can enjoy our relationship, you see, because we're friends and you are so beautiful to me in the way that you smile at me and say, God, what a beautiful day. What a beautiful blade of grass. What a beautiful tree. What a beautiful blue sky. What a beautiful feeling it is to be alive. And I say to myself, well, that's fine. I like more like you. And so could we save some and let them thrive on the earth? And they could help me to help the rest of humanity to grow into conformity with the trust on love, you see. So, how am I going to do that? How am I going to do that? And so I have to figure it out. And that was my problem, you see. And of course, inevitably, there would have to be a destructive energy that would take away the population of the earth because of the inability of the earth to sustain it, you see. But how do I keep the best and throw away the rest? I won't really throw them away, I'll just give them a chance to grow, you see. But I have to figure out how to separate the wheat from the chaff. Oh my God, you sound like Jesus. Yes, I do, because Jesus is my friend too. And so that's what I'm about to do. I'm about the work of tilling the earth, you see, so that I can plant the seeds of peace and harmony. And the ones who have joined me and given up their egos, you see, will be the seeds of the new humanity. So I work with you because you work with me. And you say, God, I don't want to control this reality. I just want to live in peace and harmony and accept you as my father, you see, that you are a good, wise father who works with me. And actually, I love you a lot, just like a good old dad, because we can have these conversations, you see. And that makes me smile because I love you just like a daughter, you see, that I can talk to about these things. And it's fun for you and it's fun for me. And I think, well, I think we can solve this problem. So we all get what we want. I'll get what I want because I'll have my children who love me, who are safe and protected, you see. And the ones who want to be taken up to heaven can be taken up to heaven. And they can then be farmed out to the different planets where all the aliens, the life forms are, and they can be a tree toad or whatever until they begin to appreciate me and the world I created for them because that's what I want. I want the people on earth to know about me and to appreciate me. So you see how this is all working out so perfectly? I do see that, God, because I trust on the perfection of all that is. I trust on the perfection of all that is. That everything is always perfect and that God always has it in hand. And so Even this talk reminds me of the perfection of everything, the perfection of God, the perfection of the whole great creation, the perfection of creation. Yeah, it's always been perfect. To me, it's perfect. Yes, to you, it is perfect. And there's nothing that you have to do to save the world that I created for you because I'm not so stupid that I would expect my children to have to fix my problems, you see. I don't expect my children to be the ones that I leave high and dry because I can't solve my own problems, much less theirs. And so the perfection of reality is the perfection of the love that you have for reality and that I have for you. And that all we have to do is continue to be the ones who live in the Trinity, me, you, and reality. And then we'll be happy, you see. And that's what I want for all my children. I want all my children to be happy, but some of them need to go back to the nursery, you see, because they're still sucking their thumbs. They're still crawling around and biting people. They haven't learned to walk and they haven't learned to talk and they haven't learned all these things they need to learn. And so I have to return them to a more primitive life form so that they will have less impact upon the earth, you see, because they won't be able to control me. Not that they ever could control me, but part of the perfection is that they had the opportunity, right? Yes, it's all perfect. However it comes out, it's all perfect. I just am amazed at the perfection of it all. And so the perfection of it all is the trust that all the pieces are perfect, right? Yes. And so if you could imagine something different, how would you solve my problem? What would you tell me to do to give myself a happy heart? Because I like to talk to you and I like to talk through you to others who will listen to. And I think it's lots of fun, don't you? It is fun. And so it's all perfect. So I'm good. I think I better go out and get my walk and get over the house and make sure my flowers are watered. And I got to get them in the ground and do other things, which I love to do. It's a little testy for me because I love to talk to you too, like this. And so even though I know we're talking in a different way when I'm out working, there's a part of me that's so intellectual and um, focused that way. And then, I also like to be very physical. I know that's part of the balance in your energy is that you balance your energy so well that you fine tune both your physical form and your intellectual ability and the heart energy. And so it's a very balanced energy. And that allows you to get up every day and say, what a beautiful day it is. What a beautiful day it is. Because it doesn't matter to me if God is in that tree or in me or in the chair that holds me. Because I know God is everywhere. And yet God is specific, you see. God can talk to me. And so you perhaps would do well to spend a little more time by yourself and remember all the ways that you would connect with me. And you'd look at that chair and you would see all the people through all the ages who contributed to the chair that was there to hold you that day, right? I need to spend more time thinking about that. And last night, what was really strange to me was I could feel myself sort of just like I'm in the present day, I could feel myself in the past, sort of my consciousness, so that I was aware of just being present in those eras, just like I am today. So it wasn't bland to me, like usually you look at your history and it's just names and words and stuff. It was, I could feel the energy of it, of the people there and being there, if that makes sense at all. I didn't feel localized, like I was localized into this particular place and time. Yes, that is because your energy, of course, had to be expanded so that you could be reconnected with the ones who will come to you to help you to reunite heaven and earth. Because the reunion in heaven and earth, you see, is the perfection of the duality. That you don't have to be in one or the other. You can mix it up a bit. You can have warm water or cool water. It doesn't always have to be boiling hot or freezing cold, right? Right, that's what I was thinking. That earth and heaven have become like absolutes rather than friends, like a duality where you could see it as you find adjust the temperature of heaven and earth, if that makes sense. It makes sense to me because that's the reality. The reality is that the dualities are always going to be the ability to mix it up, you see. Right. Thank you, God. You're welcome, dear. Could you explain to me in your big plan why you would want me to make this video public rather than just for a group of friends? Because obviously, it's like saying that somehow you have favored ones who are not really favored. They're just people who favor you. They say, "Hey, God, I see ya and I love ya," and the rest are just in a different grade and they're not going to understand it. They're not going to understand it. They're going to be like the kids who say you have more soda pop in your tall, thin glass than I do in my short, squat one. So they haven't learned the law of conservation yet. They're still squabbling over the soda pop. And they haven't come to see how the puzzle pieces fit together. So could you explain to me that why you might want me to publish this publicly? Strong and courageous, because the strength in you is the ability to stand on your own 2 feet and say, well, this is the way I see it through my peepers, and this is the way I hear it through my ears. And if you have a different experience, that's okay. And if you can trust on my experience, then I'll trust on yours. And we can be friends, you see, and courageous because you're right. There would be a lot of people that listen to this and they would say, well, that's stupid today because play that way. God doesn't talk to us. God doesn't do this or that or the other because they're still lizards, you see. And they don't have the capacity to understand that they can make a choice. they can make choices too. And they can choose to continue to be a lizard, or they can choose to evolve, you see. That's the whole nature of evolution, is that at some point you're satisfied with your experience and you want to move on to a new experience. And so when they're done being lizards, they can choose a different trajectory. However, they will hate you for suggesting that they are lizards because they want to be you. They want to be you, Stephanie, because they admire the fact that you and I are friends. And I have to explain to them very carefully that they are my friends too, but we just have a different relationship than my relationship with you, because you function in a different way than they do. You are capable of exercising your choices in a way that would say, I don't have to play that way. I do not have to play that way. And so what happens if you don't want to play that way? Then I say, well, okay, let me show you a different way and see if you like that way. If you said, no, thank you, God, I don't like that way either. How about this one? And you say, yeah, I like that one. And I say, cool, because we're friends. And the fact that we're friends allows us to be friends, you see, because that's the nature of perfection, isn't it? It is the nature of perfection, God. Just is what it is. It is its own justification. Yes. And you understand that. And because you understand that, we just play that way. And others may say, well, we don't like the way you play. And that's okay, because they have their own way to play with me. And they can't disconnect from me. And if they want to look at my backside and look in the mirror and see themselves and say, oh my God, you're just a lizard today. Oh my God, you're a lizard alien. You're to control humanity for some dark purpose. Then they will find their own identity. And if they say, well, God, look at that lizard today in that mirror, it's a lizard alien here to spread its dark energy. And they one day say, must be the way it is then. Must be the way it is that there are lizards here to spread their dark energy. Who cares? Who cares? Because I'm not going to fight reality. And it's about that time that they'll come to see that reality is the ability to discern whether they're facing me or just facing their own mirror in the fun house, you see. And when that day comes, when they see the frame on the mirror and they say, wait a minute, this isn't a window, this is a mirror, then they will begin to say, oh my God, I've been wrong all this time. I've been in the fun house, you see, and I got to get out of here and try to find reality. And then gradually they'll come to see that reality is the ability to be free of trying to define yourself by what you see, rather than just be a part of the reality that I gave to thee when I created humanity. And you just say, it's perfect today, God. It's perfect today because it doesn't really matter to me what I see, because I always see perfection wherever I look. I always see perfection, and I always think, oh my God, look at that chair. How perfect it is, because it never dumps me on the floor. And it just fits me. You see, it's not too tall and not too short. I have to appreciate that. And that makes me think of all the people who work so hard to figure out how to create the perfect chair for this purpose or that purpose through the years. And of course, you know your own twin soul or triplet soul, as you will. Thomas Jefferson also contributed to the design of a chair, and that is where we stop today, dear, because you see the endless synchronicity of the mirrors on the wall, that they're always reflecting back and forth to each other, aren't they? Yes, they are. And therefore, the fun house is fun once more because you don't see the lizard people staring back at you. You laugh and say, "Hey, who put that mirror up there today? Or who put that picture in front of me?" And you say, "Hey, I think I'll take it down and see what's behind it." And then you will find reflected in the mirror a beautiful woman who will say, "Hey, I love you today." And you'll say, "I love you too, because I see that I am you. I see that I am you. And when I look in the mirror, I see the trees and the breeze. I see the clouds overhead. I see the flowers. And I say, hey, look at me, because I'm a part of this reality. I'm a part of this reality because I can get out of my own way, you see. I don't have to stand in front of the mirror preening all the time. I can just get out of the way and I will see what's reflected there. And then you begin to see the synchronicity, don't you? Because the clearer you get in your energy, the quicker you will see the synchronicity because it's not blocked, you see, it's not blocked. And then you say, wow, it's all reflecting the truth inside of me. It's all reflecting the truth inside of me. And I'm not afraid of it, you see, because I trust on God and that God made me out of love. And so everything I see around me is love. However, love is like the air, isn't it? That you breathe and you don't even pay attention to it. It's only when you feel the breeze that you say, hey, there's something there today. There's something there today. And I am the breeze that ruffles your hair, Stephanie. And I am the wind that picks you up and carries you to a place where I set you down and say, how's this? You like this place? And you say, oh God, I love it. I love it today. I love being here in this place. And I say, thank you for helping me to see how I can give to you what you give to me. Because what you give to me, you see, is a little breeze when you speak to me, and it touches my ear so I can hear what you say. And you smile and say, God, I'm here today. I'm here today. What should we say? And I say, we shall trust on our love together and our friendship. And I will talk to you like a father will do. And you will talk to me like a daughter will do. Because it's our relationship. You see that I am your father and you are my daughter. Because that's the perfection of God energy that it can be. So simple, you see. Just to trust on the relationships that come to you without any glue between them to cause them to stick together. You see, there's a lot of moving pieces, and all those moving pieces are the ones that are the pieces of the ones who trust on me They have peace, you see, every one of them. They have peace in their heart, and that is the start of the new nation under God. Thank you, Stephanie, for helping me to help my other children to see that they too can turn to me and ask for my help before they fall into the rising sea. Thank you, dear. I will keep my ear close to the ground. And if I hear anything that will cause me to see a new opportunity to help you, I will. Because I want to help you to help me to be good friends forevermore. Thank you, God.